our monthly reentry town hall here at CPMC, Catholic Prison Ministry Coalition. Today, we're happy to be joined with Sabri and Daniel from the Youth Empowerment organization at Santa Clara County. And with Catholic Charities. And unfortunately, I was unable to join the call at the very beginning, so I have yet to have met Daniel and Sabri. So, and I am connecting. Sorry, I've had technical difficulties, but I'm connecting on my phone. So I see Daniel, and then I'm looking for Sabri as well. Just to make sure, are both of you on the call, Daniel and Sabri?
Daniel is here. Sabri is running a little bit late. We actually have a little storm here, so he's running into some technical difficulties as well. But he should be joining shortly.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one then. Well, welcome. We're looking forward to hearing more about the work that you all are doing there, especially as with regards to youth empowerment. And so I'm not sure the order of who would like to maybe start us off with a kind of introducing the ministry there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and we have a presentation we're gonna be using today. I'm gonna try and pull that up right here. If everyone could just bear with me. I know we live in Silicon Valley, but Sabri and I are not the tech savvy, so we're gonna be trying to get this going here. Okay. There we go. One second. Here.
There we go.
Okay. Y'all can see the mongoose there?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
And then one sec, I'm gonna pull my slide here. A little slow right now. There we go. Can everyone see that? Thumbs up. The white slide there. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. So my name's Dan Coleman. I am the Managing Director for our Youth Empowerment Services. We're located at Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County, which is in the area of Northern California. So we really are smack dab in the middle of Silicon Valley and in the South Bay area of Northern California. So to begin with, in our community, in the early 90s, there was an upsurge in violence, particularly gang violence. So the city came together and decided to create a center where they were going to offer services to the community to help with reducing community violence. And originally, the center was going to be run by the city of San Jose, but the community in the Washington area where we were located came together, and they said they wanted to choose who would be providing services to them. And they already had a great relationship with Catholic Charities. So they decided that they wanted Catholic Charities to run our center that we operate out of. And this was this took quite a bit of time in about the early 2000s. We were awarded to operate and run the Washington United Youth Center to do programming that can help meet the needs of the community. Like it's mentioned here, it's definitely community-based. In the beginning, we had a bunch of different types of programs. We had some outreach programs. We have a school that operates out of here. A bunch of different types of programs that were kind of disconnected. And over time, we were able to kind of unite programs, go after different types of programs, and then create our youth empowerment services, which offers services to the community as well as youth involved with the juvenile justice system here. Slide. So as I mentioned earlier, our first two programs that we had at Catholic Charities at our Washington United Youth Center were our BEST and NACC programs. So you can see them here in this diagram. They're green. So BEST is an outreach program. We'll go into descriptions about the programs in a little bit. NACC is a program that serves youth in the hall. So we noticed that we had an outreach program, which was great. We had a program that could help youth in the hall, but we didn't have any mental health programs. So what we decided to do was look for funding opportunities in our community that could offer mental health services to our population. And so the next program that we were able to locate was our ProGrip program, and our ProGrip program became very successful. It's a mental health program. So then we were able to expand into our SES program, which is a very similar mental health program. So at this point, all these programs are somewhat disjointed. And then our division director at the time, Sarah Reyes, decided that it would be helpful to unite these different programs operating out of the center under one leader. And initially Sabri was brought in to lead these programs. And then he transitioned into another position within the agency. So I came in, and now I'm currently leading all of these programs. But what we really want to point out here is in constructing youth empowerment services, we were very intentional about the funding opportunities that we went for, and we tried to fill gaps in our already existing services to create a more holistic set of programs for youth involved with the juvenile justice system. So we'll get into these programs more later. The main point here we want to show you is that we had some very intentional synergies that we used in developing youth empowerment services. So a really important aspect of our services is the fact that we operate out of a center. So we don't operate out of a clinic, which I think a lot of, especially on the mental health side, a lot of traditional programs do operate out of. We operate out of a youth center. So as you can see here, on this picture over here that I think my camera might be blocking, but this is the center from the outside. And we have a giant gym where we do lots of activities, pro-social activities, basketball tournaments. There's a handball court you can see there. We have futsal here. There's a lot of fun opportunities we can utilize for our gym space. We also have a game room. So in our game room, we have a pool table, we have foosball, we have some video game systems, and then we also have a multi-purpose center. So in this room, we're able to offer programs like Zumba, have team meetings. What we're trying to really point out here is the being located at a center affords us a lot of interesting opportunities and very quick access to pro-social activities for our youth that normally we wouldn't be able to run into in a traditional kind of clinic setting. And then over here, we have some of our staff. As you can see, our staff is very diverse. This was actually taken during Halloween, so everybody's dressed up. And we have a multitude of age ranges. And so we have a very energetic, loving staff that really makes working here amazing. And I think helps with our service delivery to the community. So moving on. At this point, what we'd like to do is describe our programming, the programs that make up our youth empowerment services. And we decided to present our 6 programs in order of intensity for the youth. So by this, we mean which programs or how frequently a youth will be meeting with each program. So we're starting with kind of the lightest touch programs, where youth meet with us for a little bit. The duration or the length of stay that they meet with us isn't super long. And then we'll go to our more intense programs where the length of stay is much longer. So the first one we have here is our community service learning program. So our community service learning program is a program funded by the Santa Clara County Juvenile Probation Department. And it is a prevention and early intervention youth program. The really cool thing about this program is that it's designed to have youth go through the program, and if they successfully complete it, they'll have no involvement whatsoever in the system. So the way this would work from a youth perspective is, let's say a youth gets cited for some type of law violation that's considered to be a minor violation. So something like, let's say, vandalism. And they will be assigned a special probation officer who will send them to this program, our community service learning program. For our program, they'll meet with one of our case managers. They will undergo 2 classes, and in each class, topics will be covered about whatever maybe the offense was, how it might affect the community, and just some information and skill sharing along that. And then the last session will be a community service learning session where the youth and the staff will go out into the community and engage in some type of community service project that helps address the issues that are brought up with the violation. So if it's vandalism, then the community service project may be beautifying the community. Or if it's some type of shoplifting, then the community service project may be meeting with local store owners just to discuss the impact. And what it allows for is processing through the system. Once the youth complete, then they're completely out of with us or sealed, all their records with probation are sealed. So this is a program that we really love because it diverts away from the system, which is what we want for every youth. So that's our community service learning program. Our next program is a city outreach program. So it's called our Bringing Everyone's Strengths Together program. This is a program funded by the city of San Jose. There's a unit called the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force in the city of San Jose. And this task force identifies certain hotspots in the city of San Jose where the city wants services to be provided. It brings together law enforcement as well as community-based organizations to work together to try to provide outreach opportunities to help local gang-impacted youth. And so there's 3 different organizations that work with the BEST contract. Ours is one of them, and I believe we have 6 hotspots within the city. So for this program, what we do is we provide street outreach services. So we go into local communities, we meet with youth, We provide case management services, linkage to resources. We provide a ton of pro-social opportunities. We'll bring the youth back to our center for late night, where we'll engage in basketball, handball, any of our fun activities that we have. We have community dinners. We have a lot of pro-social trips, river rafting, beach trips that we engage in over the summer. We have different types of groups, supports groups, life skills groups. We go into local schools and provide those groups there as well. So BEST is a really awesome community outreach program that we have here that we've had for, I believe we're coming up on around 20 years. So this is one of our original programs, one of our strongest programs, and we're really proud of our BEST program. So next program we'd like to tell you about is our Multi-Access Assessment Center program. So this is our MACC program. So our MACC program offers services to youth detained at juvenile hall. So MACC case managers go into juvenile hall. They provide groups. They provide many similar skills groups, life skills groups, substance abuse groups to youth in the hall. They also provide one-on-one services, so opportunities for youth to meet with someone from the outside, just to show them that there's someone who cares or someone who supports on the outside. And then we can provide linkages to services in the community that can be helpful once the youth is released from the hall. Cool aspects of the MACC program and where our synergies start coming into play is that our MACC service providers are our best service providers. So the staff who is meeting with the youth in the hall is also the best staff. So there's an initial opportunity there to form a relationship with our staff. And once the youth exits the hall, now they have somebody from the community that they're already, from a CBO, that they're already linked to, where they can start engaging with our program if they would like to, and increase success in terms of staying out of the system and getting away from the system. So then our next program here is our transitioning off and preventing placement program. So this is our first mental health program we'll be discussing. This program is outpatient mental health program. It offers mental health services to anyone in the community who doesn't have insurance. And so sometimes insurance barriers can be something that gets in the way of people accessing mental health services. So this is a special contract offered by our county SSA that allows us to offer mental health services to youth in the community who may not have insurance. The other aspect of this program is that it also allows us to offer services to youth who are transitioning out of the system. So in some of our other programs or other like programs that other CBOs offer, lots of times the funder will allow the youth to stay with the program, or they'll fund services while the youth is on probation. But once the youth exits probation, the funder won't fund services anymore. So what this program does is that creates an issue, because sometimes the youth need services for longer, maybe at a lower level. So this top program allows us to continue to offer services utilizing the same providers once a client, let's say, has completed probation and no longer is being funded under a probation contract. They can transition into this program, the top program, or we have a family and children's program at Catholic Charities. So it allows us to continue with our clients past just their involvement with the system. Our next program we'll be talking about here is this is another Santa Clara County Juvenile Probation Department funded program. It is our support and enhancement services program. It's another mental health program. So this program serves youth who are on probation. It offers mental health services, so it offers individual therapy, family therapy, substance abuse counseling, parent coaching, collateral services. It offers case management services, so linkages to essential resources. And a really interesting aspect of this program is that the Santa Clara County Juvenile Probation Department also funds pro-socials for this program. So oftentimes for mental health programs, there will be, they'll kind of fund just the mental health component, and then a youth would need to be linked to maybe another program that offers pro-socials, or maybe another program that offers psychiatry, whereas this program is designed to be a one-stop shop, where it does offer psychiatry services if youth and family are interested. And it also offers the pro-social services. So like we mentioned with our BEST program, where we take kids to the beach, there's river rafting, we have tournaments, we do paint nights, lots of different fun pro-social activities. It allows clients to work with staff in the mental health context, but also in more of a fun pro-social context, which we feel really helps kind of deliver a more holistic type of service, and fosters really strong bonds between the staff and the clients that we work with. So then our next program here, and our final program we'll be talking about, is our probation, gang, reinforcement, and intervention program. So it's our ProGrip program. It's not the most strength-based name. This is another county or Santa Clara County Juvenile Probation Department funded program. And it offers all of the same services that our SES program offers. The only difference is that the clients who get referred to this program are those identified as either being gang impacted or actually gang involved youth who are involved with the Santa Clara County juvenile justice system. So it's more intense in terms of meeting frequency. So for our SES program, usually therapists and case managers will typically meet with clients 1, maybe 2 times a week or 1 time each. The ProGrip program is designed to be a much more intensive program where staff can meet with clients in the beginning in certain situations up to 5 days a week if necessary. Maybe meeting with the client 3 days a week, maybe meeting with the parent 2 days a week, and there can be a mixture of services in there: the mental health services, the case management services, pro-social services. It's designed to be a more intensive program that helps the youth identify what their goals are and work towards meeting those goals, and then exiting the system and kind of never having to get back in the system again. So our program is kind of our most intense program out of all of these. So another important thing about our youth empowerment services programs is that we do take part in advocacy groups in our local community. So here's a list of some of the programs that we do advocate with. There's a girls policy agenda that came up about a year ago that some of our best staff helped with. Once the pandemic hit last year, a bunch of local CBOs developed a COVID-19 advocacy group for youth detained at juvenile hall. And we advocated for releasing as many youth as possible so that they're not, 1, away from their families, and 2, in a situation where they could easily spread COVID and be very susceptible to that. And we had a lot of success there. And we hope that that can kind of move. We're continuing with that group even as the pandemic progresses. And the hope is to change the way of looking at even further our county's way of looking at incarcerating youth and moving further and further away from detainment and more towards community-based programming instead. We're also a part of our Behavioral Health Contractors Association. So that's an advocacy group for our mental health contracts. The city of San Jose, for our Bringing Everybody's Strengths Together program, has a strategic plan that they roll out every 3 years. And so they meet with law enforcement, city staff, as well as CBO partners, us being one of them, to look at changing hotspots, changing areas where services could be provided, to kind of outline different areas where our services could be of most youth. And then we're also part of the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force. So that's a team that meets regularly if there's any gang issues in the community or any crisis type issues that show up in the community. We deal with crisis response there. And they're also in charge of the overall city best funding structure. So this is just to give an idea of how our programs work. We're active in advocacy, which we feel helps us to kind of build relationships with funders and different organizations, different partners in the community, that makes our work more effective and more holistic. So here's an important aspect of our programs, which is our location. Unfortunately, this looks a little blurry, but what you're seeing here is a map of Santa Clara County. And within Santa Clara County, there's quite a few cities, and they're kind of evenly dispersed across our service area. And we tend to have clients from all of these cities. So it's pretty evenly dispersed across the county. And what's really great about our center and our location is that it is kind of smack dab in the middle there. So we're very close to a lot of the major freeways and transportation systems that can allow us to get to different parts of the county with somewhat equal traveling times. And it's also great for the people we provide services to, that for the most part, no matter where someone is located, it's a centralized location. So the distance that they'll have to travel to get to us is somewhat uniform. We had one program that had to move to a North County location for a little bit. And we noticed it definitely affected, especially before the pandemic with all the traffic in the area, it affected how quickly we could get to different areas to provide services. So that program has since moved back to the center here. And we're real happy with the centralized location. So then, as we described all the programs, we described the location, we described the center that we work out of. There's a lot of synergies in our program that we feel help make our program successful. One of them is a multidisciplinary team. So we have therapists, we have case managers, we have outreach providers, we have a psychiatrist. It's an agency psychiatrist, but a psychiatrist that can be utilized. We have a lot of different types of experience, and we have a pretty strong mixture of, for like the mental health programs, more clinical backgrounds, and then for some of our outreach programs, more real life experience backgrounds. And those two working together in combination helps to kind of fill any gaps that traditionally you'll see like either one side or the other. You'll either see like a hyper clinical program or a program that's based much more off real life experience, but we have a mixture of both. which we feel really offers a more holistic approach to what we do. And then another great thing is that our staff are flexible across programs. So as I mentioned before, our best case managers also provide our MACC outreach services. Our best and county mental health programs share clients sometimes, or have clients who may benefit from one service or the other. So there can be referrals back and forth there. And then our staff are able to join in combined pro-socials sometimes, or we have some staff who may be working with the mental health part of the one contract, but also spending time with one of our outreach programs. And by mixing and floating across programs, it helps staff to get a more well-rounded understanding of service delivery and a more connected feel with the clients we work with. So another, probably one of the most important things to our programming that we're very intentional about is cohesiveness. So we provide weekly team meetings for the individual teams of the 6 programs that we mentioned. Sometimes they're combined. Sometimes the mental health programs will have a meeting, the outreach programs will have a meeting. But we feel that the meetings are important, one, to discuss program issues, but also to have a place for staff to bond, to share whatever is going on in their lives, to feel connected to each other, and to feel supported. And then stepping up, we also have all program meetings. So we will have meetings where we'll bring the entire youth empowerment services program or division together, where staff from all the different programs will be present. We'll go over larger kind of program issues, but also engage in a lot of collaborative and bonding activities to once again help staff feel very supported. We also do retreats at least once a year. And so during our retreats, we'll go over the mission and the vision that we're looking for the next following year. But we'll also have a lot of team building and bonding activities during those retreats to just further foster kind of that sense of family and team unity. And then what we've noticed is based on this kind of structured, intentional way of doing things, staff kind of take that and run with it. They naturally bond with each other and do their own kind of group bonding activities. So oftentimes staff will obviously eat together. They'll have events and eating outside of work together. They'll do activities together. Because we work in a gym, well, before COVID, everyone or lots of people would exercise together, or they'd shoot hoops together, or take walks around the block together. So what we've noticed is that the intentional kind of bonding has led to further staff bonding, which really, I think, increases our sense of community and family and helps people feel energized and deliver the best services they can. Now, just some data we have. So this is some demographic data. This is all self-report. So our clients self-report this data to us just to give you all an idea of our population. Here's some ethnicity demographic data. Once again, all self-report across our varying 6 programs. So it will be our outreach programs, and then our probation programs, as well as our traditional outpatient programs. And then we wanted to, at the end here, give some recommendations for anyone who might be interested in replicating these types of services. This kind of just happened, but it's proven to be very essential for the types of services that we do is a centralized youth facility. So can't emphasize that enough. One, the fact that it's centralized allows us to access all parts of the county kind of equidistantly, and it affords members of the community a centralized location to meet at. But the fact that it's a youth facility too, so it's a fun place. It's a fun place for youth to come, engage in services. They can go from meeting with a therapist to maybe shooting some hoops for a little while. There's just a lot of positive synergy there. Another important thing to replicate, if people are interested, is having staff that can cover multiple services. So this helps with kind of extending across different programs. It kind of mitigates against if you have, somebody who's out in one program, you're not really in the hole because you have members of other programs that may be able to come and fill in. And especially during the recent situation with COVID and exposure and situations like that, this has proven essential because it's allowed us to keep operating programs in a way where it doesn't impact delivery to clients, but also can give us room to breathe in case someone has to go out for some reason. Another important aspect of our programming that we feel has led to it being successful is having leadership that understands the multiple systems involved. So usually, these oftentimes, at least in our county, these types of programs will be isolated. So having leadership that has an understanding of all the different aspects of these programs allows for help with synergizing between the programs. And then another really important aspect here that we're really fortunate to have in Santa Clara County is true collaboration with local funders. So in us working with the city or working with the probation department or working with the county, we meet frequently. We don't always agree on approaches to things, but I think the fact that we're all willing to come to the table and really give a good shot at collaborating to make programming that really meets the needs of our community is super helpful. And it allows for, I think, greater trust, greater flexibility, and more openness, which I think kind of leads to success. So I'm not sure if Sabri was able to join us at this point, but that's it for the presentation. So
yes,
if any,
I believe Daniel, I believe Sabri is on with us. So Sabri, feel free to unmute yourself and chime in. In fact, I think you just posted a comment in the chat box.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry that I was late. I actually caught most of it, Dan, but you were doing such a good job. I don't want to interrupt. So
thank you, sir. Appreciate
it. Which I give props to Dan because we were going to share this presentation, so he took on my part. Great. So I'm glad he was able to do it. I don't really have much to add. I did answer a question in the chat because someone asked how we're able to leverage volunteers. And volunteers, we've been able to use a lot in our BEST program. It's one of our more least restrictive programs as far as it's not a clinical program, so we don't need a therapist or we don't need anybody with a specific educational background, right? And they're all vetted, usually they come to us, and it's been really fruitful in the past. It just gives us more fingers and arms out there to reach the youth.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thanks. Well, and we'll get, there's a few questions there in the chat box we'll get to, but if I can just ask very briefly, maybe both of you can answer this. So how did you get involved? I mean, why this organization? Why this mission? Without, again, you don't have to go into too much depth, but what's your story and your connection with this mission?
You want to go first, Dan? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I can go. So initially, I started out as an intern here in some of our programs, and I enjoyed. I think some of it is sometimes kind of the universe just puts you into a certain place, and the energy of the programs. So Sabri was the one running the programs at the time. The energy and the vitality of what we were doing felt so powerful to me that I really enjoyed it, and I liked working with the clients. I liked working with the staff. I liked working out of the center. I had made a lot of transitions before that, and finally found a place that felt like it really fit for me. And we had a lot of success in our programming early on. So what led me to this was kind of, I mean, on some level, it was just an opportunity that came up, but then the culture and the environment here was so strong. It was really magnetic. And that was 5 years ago, and I'm still here now. So for me, it was a mixture of kind of chance, but then also kind of finding a place that felt like home. For a lot of I went through the ranks in this type of programming, and all those, especially those cohesiveness aspects, really helped me feel loved here, and the community that we work with is amazing. And so it was just a real, that's what brought me here, was the feeling of the place. I was somehow kind of magically attracted to it, and then once I got here, it was super powerful. And I think the leadership, especially Sabri's leadership, really just set up a culture that was amazing. That's my story for that.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a real passion work for me. So for one, I grew up in the same neighborhood where our center currently is. So I actually remember when the center was not there, when it was that market at the very beginning. So it's a community that's never really had a place for people to go. So I was a teenager when that center was built. My parents still actually live 2 blocks from that center. So it's my community, like literally it's my community. 2, I just really connected with the work. I'm an MFT by training. I say that because I no longer see clients, but that's my training. So it was awesome to get the opportunity to put a clinical program together with some of the more pro-social activities that Dan described, which were never really available to me in my previous jobs. It was super clinical. It was an office job, right? Kids or youth came to the office. We had that 50 to 60 hour session. Your traditional, stereotypical therapeutic work. And I feel like this really allowed, for me at least, to be really creative and being able to use all my other passions like sports and arts and music, really then use those things as part of therapy as well. So it was really just really nice that it hits close to home. It fit where my career was going. And to be quite honest too, I just really enjoy the values behind Catholic Charities, which really also kind of tie in with my values. It'll make the work a lot easier for me.
Excellent. All right, thanks so much, Sabri. So someone asked in the chat box, how do you all support families? I mean, with obviously if you're working with youth, that it's hard not to have real close contact with other family members. So how do you all support the rest of the family for the individuals that you serve?
You want to take that, Dan?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we use the term youth, but you almost could use the term family. So it really is family-based services. Oftentimes the youth will be the initial point of contact. So the person who's identified as in need of services, but the work is always with the family as much as the family is interested in working with us. So from our outreach program, we're going to try to get the family involved in pro-social activities. Oftentimes, parents, siblings come with us on our river rafting trips or our beach trips. We're going to offer case management linkages services to not only the youth, but anything that the family might need. During the pandemic, we switched some of our services to emergency food delivery. And quite a bit of that was delivery to our families. And then for the mental health based programs, as much as possible, we try to include the family as much as possible in services. So although it's youth, because that's usually the person in the family that gets brought to the services, I'd say as much as possible, we're trying to include the family.
Yeah, and I would actually say that it's an integral, like even like our collateral service, it's pretty much parent coaching, right? So working with caregivers, working with families is part of the job, even though, like Dan mentioned, the youth might be the identified client, but really we're working with a system, right? We're working with a system there, and it's anybody that's in the system. So whether it's an uncle, an aunt, grandma, grandpa, whoever's living in the house, even boyfriend and girlfriends, right? Partners, spouses, anyone that can really impact the youth's life, we're working with.
Okay, and so, thanks for that. So someone else had asked here in the chat box, where do you all leverage your volunteers? And honestly, I'm not exactly sure the meaning of that question, but perhaps you have a better idea than I do.
Yeah, I answered it a little bit. Hopefully I answered it correctly. I gave you what you were looking for. So yeah, we do use volunteers. Obviously, funding can only go so far sometimes. So having volunteers help us really, really is helpful. And where we use volunteers the most is in our BEST program, our Bringing Everyone's Strengths Together program, where we've used volunteers over the years to help us with our outreach efforts. A lot of it is because there's people that come and already have that passion. They're already from those neighborhoods. They're from the community. So it's easier for us then to kind of use those volunteers to reach out to youth, whether it be because they're to a parish or because they're in this particular neighborhood. We definitely use those volunteers, and all our volunteers are vetted. So there's a background check, fingerprints, TB test, all that good stuff before they even start working with our youth, because obviously we have to be careful because we are working with youth.
Let's see, there was another question here that popped up. So someone had asked, how are you able to share employees between programs that have different funding sources? Does that get complicated with the kind of the holistic approach that you all take?
It can. I think Sabri understands a little better than I do, but I think it's kind of like you can. So you have one staff that works for Catholic Charities, but they can be almost like part-time put into different programs. So some of their time they will work on this contract, and then some of their other time will be put into this contract. And if that's planned correctly at the beginning of the year, then you have one staff who, from the agency's perspective, is obviously just working for Catholic Charities, but their time is going to these different programs that they're allocated to. You want to explain that better, Sabri?
Yeah, I mean, I know we have people from across the nation here, so a lot of it depends also where you're working, right? So for us, we're lucky enough to work in a county that allows for budgets to be modified throughout the year. So just because you start at the beginning with certain allocations, it doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to look throughout the year. And our funders then allow for those revisions to be submitted either on a quarterly basis or every 6 months. So that's one really awesome thing that we have. Two then is that we have our built into our like a payroll system, cost centers, which then people can kind of pick and choose where that funding is coming from. So kind of like what Dan was saying, I may have staff who's working on two different programs with 2 different cost centers. And at the beginning of the year, we might say, hey, you're going to split your time 60-40 or 70-30. And that's how they'll do their time cards, right? Obviously, also staying true to the actual hours. And then on the back end, our fiscal department is able to then to get all the financial stuff in order, right? So that's how we're able to then track where people are working and what budget to kind of draw from so that our funding kind of stays intact. I hope that makes sense.
Got it. It does. Yeah. And someone actually, Jane asked, can you speak to the outcomes that you have across the various different programs?
Yeah, we wanted to put some of those on there, but we kind of ran out of time, to be honest with you. But I think 3 things that I can share with you is that, so for example, our BEST program, a lot of the data there is self-reported by the youth. Again, it's not a therapy program, so there isn't any specific like evidence-based practice tools per se. So it's a lot of stuff reported from the youth or from the parents. And last year, for example, we scored 95% or above in satisfaction across like 18 different domains. Domains that included like, I feel connected to a positive adult in my neighborhood. I feel like I'm doing better in school now. I feel more connected to my family. Questions like those that were self-answered by youth and parents, we scored in the high 95% or higher, which is really awesome. For our SCS and programs, I want to say it was like a year or two ago, Dan, maybe Dan can correct me about that, but I want to say about a year or two, county made a report that came out on the effectiveness of our program. And one of the outcomes was that for our clients that were able to stay engaged in our services for a year, recidivism rates were under 10%. So which meant that, 90% of clients did not reoffend, which is amazing, right? It's more than flippable coin. We can literally say that it's part of the program. And no one else had those kind of results across our county, at least. And I really believe that it's because of that hybrid model that Dan talked about earlier, where it's not just clinical. You're not just getting therapy, but you're also getting a mentor. You're also playing sports. You're also drawing. You're also listening to music. And that really shows in those results.
And I'm sorry, real quick, how many youth do you have in your program currently?
Altogether, I mean, youth and families that get impacted by our program, you could probably say 500. I'd say on the mental health side, right now we probably have 100, and then on the outreach side, we probably have another 100. But then with all the family members and everybody included, you could easily say 500.
Well, that's amazing. You have 100 in mental health alone that you're serving. That's extraordinary.
And those numbers are actually low because of the pandemic. So for example, pre-pandemic, I would say that it's closer to anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000, because pre-pandemic we would also have open a late gym, where the gym is open to youth to come in and play. It's also open to parents who would come in, bring their kids, again, 12 to 24 years old. And a lot of times there, we would have youth who maybe would drop in just because it's a safe space. And if you add that, our numbers grow exponentially. Right now, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to do that, unfortunately. So it's smaller, like 500, like Dan mentioned. But pre-pandemic, we were hitting that mid to high thousands.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Well, that's still extraordinary. It's kind of difficult for me to wrap my mind around how all of this is coordinated with so many people, and just thinking about how difficult it can be just to work with one life that has been traumatized or exposed to violence, especially at a young age. To know that you have a community that really, it sounds like, wraps themselves around these families and supports them with such positive outcomes is remarkable. And a testament to what Dan said earlier, right? That it was the vibe of the community that really attracted him to this service. And the fact that you've been there, Dan, for 5 years, in the world of social work, as I've come to discover, there's pretty quick turnover. That also says a lot about the community, the family kind of there with the work that you all are doing. So much good. Yeah. Well, I know, listen, we have about 2 minutes left here. So I don't know if you had any kind of final thoughts or comments, something that maybe you thought that you'd wanted, or that you had wanted to say that you weren't able to express earlier. Kind of the floor is yours here for the final 2 minutes.
I'll say real quick, I think a lot of this has to, we're able to do this because of some interesting aspects of our county, but to replicate this, I think the energy and kind of like the passion behind it, I think it could be adapted for other areas. So maybe it couldn't be exactly what we do, but I feel like this type of thing can start growing in other areas. So I'd really encourage anybody who's interested to give it a shot. You want to go, Sabri?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a passion project type thing, right? Where if your heart's in it, a lot of things are possible. And I think for us, it wasn't just with myself, but even with Dan, like he mentioned earlier, and even our staff, right? It's about finding a right fit, not always looking at the letters behind the name, but really, does this person have that same feeling, same value, same passion for what we're doing? And we've been really fortunate to have staff that do. So then all these little moving parts, all the variables that it takes to make the programs work, actually seem kind of easy when you're into work. When you start to think about it, you realize, oh my God, we're doing so much. But when you're into work, it actually kind of just floats to the background. So I think if it comes from the heart, if it is passion, if it is part of what you really want to do, it can be done. And just to answer that last question on there, we are linked to a food pantry. So the way we use that food pantry is either one, we actually go to the pantry and get food for our clients, which we then give ourselves, or two, we sometimes get that food and then kind of like Dan mentioned earlier, we've been delivered to people. It's been happening a lot during the pandemic because people can't transport themselves or people are just kind of scared to go out. But we are fortunate enough to also be linked to a food pantry.
Thank you. Thank you again, really, both of you, Sabri and Dan, for your presentation, sharing, taking an hour out of your day. No doubt, probably a very busy day, I'm sure, with the work that you all are doing to share with us. And Karen or Joe, I hope you're still on the line here because I'm unable to access, because I'm on my phone, Zooming from my phone, so I can't do two things at once, at least not yet with this. Would either of you be able to let us know when the next town hall meeting is and the topic?
Yeah, so hi everybody. Our next town hall will be happening on Thursday, April 8th. And our presenters is Alternatives to Violence. So that will be our next town hall. And then the next reentry town hall will be April 22nd, also a Thursday. And that will be featuring the Community Partnership for Transition Solutions, which is a reentry network of 40 different partners that work together to provide resources to returning citizens. So that is next up on our docket. So deep thanks to each of you.
Can I add one thing? The April 8th, it is publicized as that, but it has been changed and we are going to be using it as a formation opportunity that CPMC has created 3 levels of formation. And with the latter 2, one is for volunteers, the other 2 are for professionals and professionals. And that part has a CPE component, which is a clinical pastoral element with mentoring attached. And we would love to have an informal session. It's very clear on the website now and give you opportunities to look at in your future when you can engage. And those of you that are professional ministers to partner with us and mentor brand new people. We need to bring the next generation into this work. And so we're encouraging everyone that has been part of this to be part of this formation certification that has been developed by CPMC and also will be ratified and certified in September by the USCCB Office of Certification. So please join us for that. And I apologize, Joe, you did what I did. I looked at my calendar and was like, oh.
I looked at the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you for catching that.
No, we just did it. But I did want to, while we had you online, encourage you to please participate in this, how you can partner with us to let's build this next level. And let's also raise the bar across the United States on all of those that are in ministry, and to be able to please that support network across for everybody that's doing this work. They're doing a beautiful job, and thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Sabri. You built a piece into your ministry, and that shows. That's why you're sustainable. And we need to build those processes into all of our ministries across the United States. And that's what one of our roles and one of our goals for CPMC is. So thank you both for this presentation. And thank you everyone that's on this call for your ministry and for being part of this network, because it's a really sharing of best practices. I learn something every single time that we're on a call. And so I'm grateful for you. And thank you, Father Destin, for being our fearless host for this. And welcome, Joe, for your new role. Joe is moving into the leadership helm for CPMC and will be leading our, you'll be hosting our April 8th reentry, our next town hall. And so thank you so much. And our next webinar will be on April the 14th. Please join us for that too. And that's a difference between jail ministry and prison ministry. So we'll be sending an invitation out to all of you on these 3 events. Please register and join us, and we love seeing your faces. Take care. Thank you again.
Thanks, Karen. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.